Ambassador Volker Stanzel is a former German ambassador to China and Japan and a senior distinguished fellow at SWP German Institute for International and Security Affairs. Ambassador Stanzel is joining us from Berlin. Welcome, Ambassador. This is President Xi's first visit to Europe in 5 years. Critics say that his goodwill tour will be an uphill struggle. Others say that the Chinese leader is seeking to avert a trade war. What is your assessment of the visit? What's the significance and why now?
It is definitely an uphill struggle for him. China is not in a good situation economically. It needs the European market, and politically it is still without success in its efforts to wean the Europeans away from the American side, especially on geopolitical matters such as, of course, the Ukrainian war, but also Palestine and other problems. So it will not be easy for him, but he has chosen 3 interlocutors in Europe that will try to make it easy for him. The first you mentioned yourself, President Macron, last year in April when he visited and talked to President Xi Jinping, indicated that he is of the opinion that strategically autonomous Europe should not in all matters, and of course the talk was about Taiwan, stand at the side of the United States.
Ambassador, let's continue talking about that, because the Chinese leader has carefully chosen 3 countries, like you mentioned there, France, Serbia, and Hungary, that to varying degrees embrace Beijing's push for a new global order. Could there be another reason for that? See if you can tie or even link the Ukraine-Russia war in that.
Yes, well, I would not say that any of these 3 countries stands in any way strategically at the side of China. No, they are China-friendly, at least Hungary and Serbia are, because of their own economic interests in the first place. I mean, in the case of Serbia, both sides speak of an iron friendship between the 2 countries, indicated that they think their relationship holds promise, but that promise also mainly is economic in its character. So Serbia hopes for Chinese investments quite clearly, and it has been getting a lot, but not as much as it wanted. And for China, Serbia, maybe the gate into Southeastern Europe, not the EU, but Southeastern Europe. In the case of Hungary, of course, that is a central country in Europe, and it has always criticized European policies, critical of China. It has, in return, gotten a lot of investment, I think 15 billion euro presently being discussed, and that is quite a lot for a country of the size of Hungary. And Hungary itself is turning itself into a kind of platform for EV production, which is, of course, the next great export offensive from China to Europe. And that would be extremely profitable for Hungary. And from Hungary, of course, EV products would be sold into the rest of Europe. So this is also promising, but not so much in strategic terms, in political terms, than in economic terms. Now, as far as France is concerned, this indeed is a little bit different. There is the economic side, and maybe you're going to want to talk about that as well later on. But strategically, with President Macron's position that Europe needs to be strategically autonomous and not always follow what Washington asks it to do, that, of course, shows or seems to show to China that here there could be an opening into getting what it has been trying since the beginning of the Ukrainian war, which is to get away the Europeans from the side of the United States. Now, on the other hand, if you look at the latest speech, which President Macron gave, 2 hours he spoke about what he wants France to do in Europe, a leading power, of course, but he stressed very much that Europe that is patterned after his notions should not be one that is following the lines of China or Ukraine or Russia. No, he was extremely critical of both countries, and for good reason, because also politically, there are problems between France and China, which do not directly have to do with the United States or problems such as Taiwan. So, for example, if I just may finish this point, they just have discovered that the Chinese police holds or has representatives clandestinely in France that follow opponents to the Chinese government, which of course is impossible to accept. So this is one example for the problems that exist.
Ambassador, I'm running out of time, but very quickly, who seeks to gain more between Europe and China? Is it China or is it Europe?
It is definitely, politically speaking, it would be China, because it has not made any headway politically, but economically it would be, I would say, very balanced if both sides made advances this time in their discussions.
All right, I've been talking to Ambassador Volker Stanzel, who's a former German ambassador to China and Japan and a senior distinguished fellow at SWP German Institute for International and Security Affairs. Ambassador, thank you very much for talking to us today.
Welcome. Thank you for the invitation.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.